Testing, test. All right, we are good there. Let me just double check. All right. Cool. I'm going to wait a couple minutes here and then we'll go ahead and get started. Hope everybody's having a good day out there in the markets. And let me just come over here, make my screen. We'll hop over here to the SPX. And this is where we will get started. I appreciate you guys joining here, whether you're with me live or you're coming and watching the recording. I appreciate you being here. Jeremy Ritz, Courage Pays Better Than Fear Trading. It is another Wednesday war day here today. I'm going to head over to futures. We'll go ahead and just get started. But let's go over to the 3-minute chart here. And you could see that we had this nice little sell down in the morning that started really right around 9 o'clock. And if we just go take a look at the data, you could see that we got the ADP employment change. Let me find it here. And you can see that it came in well below expectations. The forecast was 10,000. It came in at negative 32,000. And you can see that this measures levels of non-farm private employment. And so just more evidence of a weakening job market. And real fast, I'm going to check to see. Let me check the CME Fed Watch tool to see how the rate odds have changed. CME Fed Watch tool, because that they probably have skyrocketed. They're probably 90% at this point, 89%. So that ADP employment change definitely caught people's notice. The labor market continues to weaken, and now the question is, did the Fed wait too long, and is there irreparable damage to the economy? So that's a reason why you saw the sell-off here. But also, too, there was a report and a rumor that Microsoft was cutting sales forecasts. So those two things combined caused this big sell down, and you can see Microsoft is struggling to recover. And you could see that Microsoft did come out and say you can see right here on my TradingView screen, Microsoft says the company has not lowered sales quotas targets for its salespeople. So they try to come out and do some damage control there. That was not in fact true. So it's been a little bit of a choppy day. Let's just come over here, take a look at the SPX where we are. You can see we're very close to all-time highs. If we mark out this level here, this upper wick on the October 29th candle, we're not that far away. If we measure that out to that high, a little under 1%. And I still have a 7,000 price target here on the SPX by the end of the year. I think that's an inevitability. I don't know how soon it's going to come. I don't know if we're going to finish green today, if we're going to come down and retest. We're not overbought. You can see the RSI is showing some momentum. I'd like to see this bullish volume pick up a little bit. Last week we had thin volume off of the holiday, but we would like to see a nice big fat green bullish volume bar just for some reliability to this price action. And so really it's been kind of a choppy day, even though we are currently up 23 points. But you have these pops that will drop, pop, and then we just been chopping sideways. And finally, we got above the intraday highs. We are right now above yesterday's highs. So we'll see what the rest of the day has in store. But we've just kind of been choppy, really, since Monday. We've just been trading inside of a range after that drop down. And we are somewhat making higher lows, but today's close is going to be pretty interesting. Let's just take a look on a daily chart, what we're looking at. This would be a nice candle close, really just enveloping the body of this indecision candle that we had from yesterday. So let's see how things play out. If the bulls want to continue to push this up, a little bit of a thicker volume node here on the VRVP. And then the next area we would want to watch is this hammerish candle from November 12th. I'm going to mark out the wick of that. Let me pull this down a bit at 68, 69, 48. If the bulls can come in and close above that, you're going to squeeze these bears here, and potentially we can get that push up to the 7,000 area before the end of the year. Taking a look at the Qs has been lagging a little bit today. It's finally up, but you can see here, if I just zoom out on the 3-minute, dropped, double bottom, slow climb up, but really just kind of chopping right now. So we'll see if this wants to break out at the end of the day. It's sitting right at the top of this volume shelf, but it is now trying to participate. Bitcoin has been, it looked pretty sketchy here in the morning, I'm not going to lie, with this big dump. And it was a matter of, just a few candles here on a 3-minute, and it was down 1,500 points. And it was like, oh man, here we go again. We're going. It's up 1,700 points right now. If we take a look at this guy on the daily, you could see that we are above that 10-day exponential moving average. We're above the point of control. And if I pull up the EMAs on here, what I've been watching is for a nice close above this 20 EMA, which we're above it right now, but the candle doesn't close until later this evening. So I'm watching that. And then you could see the next point of resistance is going to be up here at 98,000. And then up to this 50 SMA, we'd be back in the 100. So you do have a little bit of a double bottom forming here. My favorite style of double bottom, your lower low, higher low double bottom. We're right here at that neckline's decision time. And let's see if it wants to come up, test that 50 EMA, a little bit of a retracement, maybe even back down onto the neckline. And then from there, come up and test that 50 SMA. But Bitcoin is still showing strength here. The Dow Jones Industrial, let's take a look at this nice candle here today, up 3.73 points, almost 1 full percent. Nice candle body that we're getting, large bodied candle, very tiny lower wick, very tiny upper wick. It's going to close out this bearish candle from Monday, and it's going to have to start squeezing these bears here in order to get back up to an all-time high of 484.31. And then IWM small caps, kind of the same concept that we're seeing here. Right now, if we were to close in this area, it would be above this bear candle that came in yesterday. So you're going to squeeze some of these bears, and it's really not that far off of all-time highs after it's dropped. If we measure this out, you got about 1.5% to go. So we'll keep an eye on that. So everything looks poised to hit all-time highs here by the end of the year. The 10-year Treasury note, I pointed out this pattern, quite some time ago where we'd have these pops, drop, pop, drop, pop, drop, pop, drop, pop. And now we're starting to drop. It looks like we're getting a little bit of a push. Let's see if this wants to flush lower. The dollar finally showing some weakness after getting above that 200. That was looking a little sketchy because if you go back to 2022, when it got above that 200, it really ripped, and that was a bear market. And a strong dollar is not a positive for equities. So it's good to see the dollar dropping. And then we take a look at the VIX. The VIX continues to flush lower here. Right now, we are below that 100-day simple moving average. And let's see if we could break into the 15s. We're very close to that. Where's 1599? Let me change the coordinates on this. Coordinates 1599. So we're very close to that, but a nice flush there. So lower VIX, not a lot of fear in the markets. That's good for equities, can push them higher. So let's continue to see that VIX flush if you are a bull. If you guys have tickers you want me to look at, or if you have questions, go ahead and throw those in the chat. We're just going to look at some individual charts here. Tesla got a nice rip. We talked about this in the Sunday setup, that we had this nice double bottom come into play here right off the 100 and pushed up above the 10. And it was facing some resistance here at the point of control and that 50-day simple moving average, but it got that break above it today. So this one was looking a little sketchy yesterday because it got above there, but got rejected, a little bit of an indecision candle. But today it's pushing up. And you can see that this might be getting a little bit of a pop because the Trump administration says that they're doubling down on investments into robotics, which obviously that's going to impact Tesla. And it's getting a nice little push here today. Netflix dumping. This thing cannot reclaim that 200. It looked like it was starting to show some promise here. You had Stranger Things debut last week, the final season number 5. And that optimism pushed it up to 109. What is that? 109.23. But again, dropped down today. And it's been hanging out down below this 200 really for, let's see here, 41 days. So at some point, this one's got to bottom. Let's wait to see if we can get this to oversold levels on the RSI, get that MACD to flip up, and then eventually Netflix will be back. And really, if you measure this out from its all-time high in June to this low here today, it's only down 23.91%. So this one definitely can come lower. Projected earnings report January 15th. It's one of the first big boys that reports in the earnings round. So we're definitely going to keep an eye on that one. Microsoft, we already took a look at. Amazon, this one dropped pretty hard today. We just go over here to the 3-minute. I'm still in a day trade on this one, but I'm more than likely going to have to close it for either a tiny, tiny win or a tiny, tiny loss. It's just kind of flat right now. But I did like this double bottom that came into play, but it flushed pretty hard right there at 9 o'clock with everything else, but it did not rebound. And it's just been chopping. You can see it's got quite a bit of resistance overhead right now, point of control, those volume nodes. So this one looks like it's going to lag a little bit. I do like this candle that we're shaping up here on the daily. It's a nice bearish, hammerish candle above the 10. So let's see if this one maybe tomorrow will get a little bit of a pop. And we do have plenty of time left in the day for this one if it decides that it wants to get moving. Apple just continues to push up. We got up to a high here, new all-time high, 288.60. You could see that seller stepped in here, started locking in gains. It dropped a little bit. It's down 39 cents. This one looks like it wants 300 before it's going to roll over. So I'm not chasing this up at these levels, but it's good to see that move on Apple. And this just goes to show you too, back in the summertime, right around June into July, everybody was like, oh, Apple's a dead company. It's got no AI innovation. And then what happened? I mean, look at this move from the low, let's see here, from August to the high we made today. It's up $86. So laggards don't stay laggards forever in the market. And Apple is a perfect example of that. And it's been making an impressive push. And then you have Broadcom after it made that nice pop higher to 401.95. Nice little bit of a retest down here into the 10. That's good to see after that push. Let's see if they want to rock this thing back up. You do have an unfilled gap down here from their last earnings, September 4th. They do have earnings coming up next week. So keep an eye on that. If they don't report well, I could definitely see this filling its earnings gap down here at 309, or if it's just phenomenal earnings, they will definitely rip this one higher. And then there's the Googster, the Goog. We have an unfilled gap down here. I'm going to mark this out at 304.31. Let's see if it wants to come down, fill that gap before proceeding higher. But Google, like Apple, continues to be super strong, and it just sets new all-time highs. But Google, same thing. For the longest of time, it was a laggard. It wasn't participating in that run up from April after Liberation Day, but look at what happened. So I'm saying that to point out that laggards always get tapped back into the race at some point when they cool off the big boys who have been running for some time, which is a perfect opportunity to talk about Meta, because you want to talk about a laggard. You had this nice head and shoulders pattern here, big gap down on earnings. And this one, again, like Netflix, just chilling out below the 200. Nothing good happens below that 200, but it finally reclaimed the finally reclaimed the 10-day exponential moving average. It's above the 20 and really just been consolidating, moving sideways here. You have some pressure building. You have two inside candles. We broke above the high of this candle from last Friday. But there's pressure building here sideways for a move up. So keep an eye on Meta. Again, the laggards will eventually get tapped. So I would not be surprised to see Meta rip by the end of the year. Probably not going to hit my $1,000 price target, but nonetheless, it should get going. And then you have NVIDIA. It continues to be weak following its earnings. Still has room to go lower. December is not a kind month to this stock. I would not be surprised to see it come down here and retest 162.81. If they're going to do something like that, again, you're going to have to tap one of these laggards and pump money into them. So that's where you could see a Meta start to get a lift. But NVIDIA is showing a little bit of weakness right now. But again, it's really not even down that much. If we just measure this from all-time highs to the recent low that it made, it's only 20%. So this one could come much further. Potentially in the new year, that's where I'll be looking for a trade on NVIDIA, but not right now because, like I said, December is not a super kind month to NVIDIA. If you guys don't have any chart requests, I'm just going to go over a few more and then we'll wrap this up. I did want to take a look at MSTR because this thing has just been pummeled from all-time highs here. If I just measure this out, down to the low 71%, $387. So there is room for a move on this one. You're back to price areas where this was last October 2024. And you can see that this used to be a resistance where it is now finding support. So if Bitcoin can really start to rip, MSTR can rip, and it's kind of hanging out here at the 10. And if it can get a close above the 10, you have that 20-day exponential moving average up here at 201.89. You have the 50 up here at 248.82. I did play this one earlier this week with some call options. I did some quick scalps with shares. So I'll continue to watch Bitcoin for strength for some day trades because there is quite a bit of room here for this guy to get moving. And let's just take a look at a few more. UNH getting a nice move here. I've been talking about this funky looking inverted head and shoulders. And actually, we have another inverted head and shoulders inside of a head and shoulders. And you have this 50 SMA right here. If it can clear that, then you just have the 200 and this one can start the rip. I do have this in my long-term portfolio. I'm waiting and I have nothing but time on this one because I don't need the money for a long time. It's for retirement, but I'm waiting for 600. And when it hits that, I will close that position and take those funds and reposition it into something that is beat up. But we're getting a nice move there from UNH. And then the last one that I want to look at today is Carvana, because Carvana has had this stock just continues to push and it's going, it looks like it wants to challenge its all-time high up here at 412.80. It is over 400 right now. This is a really strong candle. Look at this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 green candles in a row. Big bullish engulfing candle here. Broke 400 today. Can it get that all-time high? Probably not today, but it is worth keeping an eye on. There are some rumors that it's going to be added to the S&P 500. So that's probably generating some of the enthusiasm about this ticker. So any questions out there, guys, before I wrap up? And it looks like the market, broader markets, SPX is up another 4 points since we last revisited it. The Qs are up probably another quarter point there. So that's good to see. While I'm waiting to see if you guys have any questions, just want to remind everybody on January 5th, I'm going to be teaching it's called the New Year Wealth Accelerator class, where I'm going to be teaching comprehensively investing and swing trading. I'm going to be going deep, and it's going to be a 4-day event. It's completely free, but I want to share everything that I know about the markets with you so you can learn, you can apply this and put this to practice in your life. And here's the thing. You don't need to be a full-time trader like me. If you're working a job and you have income, you need to know how to put that to work for you in the markets in a safe way that protects yourself. You're not being crazy, YOLOing, none of that nonsense. That is not what this is about. This is about a smart way to grow your investments. So I'd love for you guys to be a part of that. Again, that's January 5th. I have a lot of promotional videos on YouTube right now with that, along with the registration link. And if you want more information or you want to reach me directly, you can contact me at couragepaysbetter@gmail.com. I would love to communicate with you, talk to you about the event. But again, that's going to be January 5th, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Time, 2026. So doesn't look like I have any questions for today. And that's all good. I appreciate you guys. I appreciate you joining me here for the Wednesday War Room. We'll be back again next week for another edition. And I hope you have an amazing day. And as always, make it a great day. Honor the moment. Oh, wait, I got one. Oh, Zoe, looking forward to class. It's tough trying to day trade with the W2. Right. So this is, just to clarify, this won't be a day trading class. This is going to be a focus on investing and swing trading. And honestly, if you are working a W2 job, swing trading is the better approach, because day trading, you have to have your attention available for the charts. So it's not really conducive. You can make it work, but it's hard. Swing trading is really the best approach. It's definitely challenging. Not to say that it can't be done, because I know many people who do it, but swing trading is the less intense approach to that. So Zoe, I can't wait to see you there on the 5th. And that's it, guys. That's it for the War Room. Appreciate you being here with me. Drop a like on the channel, leave some comments. I appreciate you helping me build the channel up very much. And I will see you next week. Take care, everybody.